Hello and welcome to our latest Business Spotlight interview. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Alistair Millen, co-founder and creative director from Studio Miko. Hello, Alistair, nice to see you.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks for inviting me along.
No problem. Alistair, why don't you share with us to start with what it is you do and how long you've been doing it for with Studio Miko?
Yeah, sure. So we've set up Studio Miko, which is a full-service design studio. We partner with ambitious brands to create meaningful, progressive design, which ultimately connects with people. We're really passionate about storytelling and lifting brands up to a better place. So we've been set up now for 4 years this year. So we set up back in, I guess it would have been February 2019, if my dates are correct.
Very good. And how did you get into the design business in the first place?
So I studied at Norwich University of the Arts. I studied in design, and then after that went down to London, worked in industry for a number of years, and so already embedded in the world, in the business. And I guess in 2018 we started to have thoughts of doing our own thing, and took the plunge in February 2019, and we're still here today, which is great.
Fantastic. And tell us a little bit more about the services that you offer for your clients.
So we're full service, and that kind of means that multidisciplinary. So we work from inception in discovery and strategy all the way through to an endpoint across a variety of projects. So we work heavily within branding, so overseeing that full creative process, but we work a lot with data and data visualization, reporting, editorial layout across things from fashion lookbooks to 200-page annual reports. And then we also work across the digital sphere, so within web design and development, and increasingly now motion graphics and animation. So we've got a team which has different talents for different bits, but what we're really passionate about is if someone comes to us, that we can fulfill all their needs and keep everything in-house, rather than them having to use us for a bit and then they have to go and find somebody else who does this, and then there's a bit of disconnect in the creative and things don't match up. It's really important for us to be there from inception to the finalization, and then from after that, kind of aftercare and rollout, so that everything's executed to a high standard and under one roof.
Fantastic, all under one roof. What a wonderful range of services. So tell us a little bit, you mentioned that you like working with ambitious brands and clients. Tell us about what your ideal client would look like.
Ideal client is, I guess that's a tricky one, because what's so nice about being multidisciplinary is things are always kept fresh and new. So we might be working on a brand one day, and then the next we're working on a web project with a lot of animation involved. And I think that's what we love, is different things coming along. But ultimately, it's partnering with those that have got exciting ideas, new products that are kind of breaking the norm, or we heavily work with people who are striving to kind of make an active difference in the world. Whether that's startups or global organizations, it's always rewarding to be able to help people and brands tell their stories and grow, and push those people who are already doing great things into a better place. Dream clients are always, I guess, as a creative, it's people that trust you and let you do what you're ultimately skilled to do, and trust your vision is always the best thing. So anyone, it's always a give and two, and we're learning from insights from the client and they're learning from insights from us. And I think anyone that really values our insights always makes for a really strong project.
Absolutely, that trust's really important and empowering as well. And when you think about what it takes to run a business, What do you enjoy most about running Studio Miko?
So that's probably changed a bit over the years. But I think now it's the team and nurturing a team. We started out, myself and Lawrence, back in 2019 out of a little flat share in London, living off scraps. And now there's a team of 8 of us. And I think it's just great to be able to see the team grow, be involved with the projects, and that day-to-day running of things. You kind of build a bit of a family. I think in the creative industry, there's always a bit of a studio culture. And so we've been very keen to nurture a very healthy one. That's kind of been a cornerstone of the business. We came from some slightly toxic jobs in the past. So just kind of creating a better studio for the future. But yeah, I think, and then otherwise I think they're varied day to day. So being creative director and co-founder, 1 minute I might be doing some admin, and then the next minute I'm looking at some work, the next minute I'm jumping and doing some design, the next minute we're doing a briefing call with a client. So I think it's just that variation. And then meeting great people around the world is fantastic, people from different walks of lives.
Yeah, it's amazing. It sounds like no 2 days are the same for you in your role. I mean, if you were to think about starting the business again, if the one thing that perhaps jumps out at you would do differently?
I'm not sure exactly what I'd do differently. There probably are some bits, but I guess if it was another person doing a business, if it was like advice I was going to put onto them, we took a big risk and we didn't really have any leads. And we were quite lucky it panned out. So I think probably if you went back or it was somebody else starting, making sure that you've got those leads to go off. Like I said, we were lucky, but I can imagine a lot of people wouldn't be, and it wouldn't pan out in the same way.
Yeah, completely understand. And so thinking about where you are now in the business, what do you find are the current challenges that you face?
I think current challenges are probably, the business has changed quite a bit in the last year to year and a half. We've grown. Last year, for example, we doubled in size. So it's now a very slightly different approach. There's those pressures of having a bigger workforce on your hands and making sure that work's consistently coming in to keep that workforce going. But I think one of the big challenges is just, it seems like we're always in a rocky period. So we had COVID hit us near the start, and then we've got cost of living, the war in Ukraine, global markets being a bit unsettled. It's definitely quite hard to plan for the future and know when to take risks. So for example, when to scale and when to hire, because you never know when marketing spends are going to be reined in all of a sudden, for example. So I think that preparing for future has been quite difficult over the last couple of years. It'd be nice to be able to see a bit of a calmer sea, but I don't think that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the uncertainty reigns externally, doesn't it, at the moment? But as you look to the future for Studio Miko, what do you hope the future holds?
So I think we're always really keen to evolve and keep up with changing trends, and I think importantly technology. So from back in our inception, we've got a really strong focus on people within the studio, each having a bit of, they've all got their own niches, but actively working on new niches. So whether that's people growing things like web coding, or whether it's people working with artificial intelligence and working out how that can come into the business. I think it's us keeping pace and not resting on our laurels and embracing new technology, new formats, and working out how that can kind of improve every project that we do. But otherwise, the team's growing, and I just look forward to seeing how they kind of evolve. Seeing them year after year, people's experience. We get to push things more, bringing in new team members. Yeah, I think we've all really enjoyed the last couple of years, so hopefully just more of the same.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And Alistair, you've obviously already shared with us some thoughts around other people who might be looking to start up their own business and having that lead generation in place. But if you think back for yourself, back to when you were 18, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self now that you know what you know?
I probably say to my 18-year-old self, don't over worry about things. I can quite easily, even now, but back then, get stressed about what the future's going to look like. If I do this, is it the right thing? If I do that, is the wrong thing? I think there's always a plan B. Even if you don't have a plan B, it will emerge, and there's always avenues to go down. So I think just that thing about being excited, there's an excitement to be found in something failing. So for example, even from the business, let's say the business failed for some reason and what didn't exist tomorrow, there's an excitement in what new path your life would take, and where you go down. So I think that thing of just not over stressing about what's to come makes the ride ultimately more enjoyable. Enjoy it whilst you're in the moment.
What a wonderful piece of advice. And I'm sure people listening will be really keen to hear more also about how they can find out more about your work. I know that you work internationally and nationally and also locally. So for people who are looking to find out more, what should they do?
So the best thing would probably be to visit our website, studiomiko.co.uk. On there, you can see a variety of our case studies, past work we've been working on, read about us, our approach to work, the process that we go through, our strategy and our thinking behind it. And also you can look on, we're setting up a new website now, which will have a little play page, which is somewhere you can just get lost in on studio experiments, little bits that come in and out. And then otherwise, feel free to reach out to us. We're quick to respond and always happy to jump on a call, even if it's just someone that needs some advice. You might not necessarily have a project ready to go, but you might just want a bit of advice on, is it the sort of thing that's right for your business now? Like, are you at a point to take a jump into a big branding exercise? And what does that look like for you? I think it can be really useful just to have those initial chats.
Fantastic. And do you have any offers for people working locally, perhaps?
Yeah, so I think as I mentioned earlier, we used to be based in London. We moved up to Norwich about 2 years ago, and we're loving being here. But what we're really looking to do is engage a little bit more within the local area and local businesses, so Norwich and Norfolk. We work very heavily in an international market, and we'd love to work with small businesses that are kind of looking to make a change. So we're in a lucky enough position that we can take on a couple of passion projects a year. And what we're wanting to do is have businesses approach us with exciting ideas. Maybe you've been producing honey on a certain scale, but you kind of want to step up to the next level and be able to have that brand thinking behind you, but maybe can't afford to, maybe it doesn't work in your budgets. And I think that's something we really want to help people with. So people coming to us, pitching what they've got. And then if it's something which we passionately believe in, which is important, then we can work with them on a pro bono basis to kind of help them grow and kickstart those things. I guess as a way of us giving back to our local community.
Fantastic. And so best just to get in touch with you via the website, perhaps?
Yeah, via the website, or my email, which is alistair@studiomiko.co.uk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, Alistair, and wish you all the very best with Studio Miko in the future.
Cheers. Thank you, Jenny.